Okay, we're going to be changing the oil today on a 2007 Suzuki GSXR 1000. You're going to need tools to take off the plastics, which will be a flathead screwdriver, and then an Allen wrench. And then for the oil filter, we're going to be using an open end wrench. You can use whatever's going to help you take off the oil filter. We're going to use the aluminum foil just so that way we don't get any oil on the exhaust, so you don't have to smell the oil burning on the exhaust afterwards. We got 4 quarts of oil. It's going to take 3.2 quarts, and then an oil pan. Let's get started. Okay, we're looking at the left side of the bike. I've already loosened everything up, but we need to start by popping the plastic tab off that's up here. You don't actually need to take it all the way out. So we're just going to put that back in just so it's loose, it's not locking anything in. And then you have another one in the front of the grill cover. We pop that one out, and you have one that's directly underneath here, and we pop that one out. And then we have a bolt that goes here, a bolt that goes here, and then one that goes right up underneath here. And this one here has a grommet on it, and so does this one, so these screws are going to be bigger than your typical ones that just go right into the plastics. We're just going to give this a solid tug. You have a clip that's right here, and we pop that loose. We need to push back on the radiator cover, push it back towards the back of the bike. We'll pop it loose just like that. Right inside of here you have a pin that we need to pop that loose. So we're just going to give a tug right here on the plastics, and that should come loose. Just like that. And you have a tab here, you have one that's here, and one here. And now we're going to have these 2 hoses, and they're just held on by just these tiny little holders. Just slide them out. That's it. We're on the right side of the bike. Same thing as the other side. We're going to start off by just loosening up this tab that's up here. I'm not going to take it all the way out. I'm going to leave it in, but we're not locking it. And then you have one that's right inside of here in the front of the grill cover. We pull that out. And then one that's directly underneath the radiator cover, which we took off on the other side. And then you have a bolt that's here, and a bolt that is here, and one that's right back in here. So we remove those. Now this should be loose after we push the radiator cover towards the back of the bike. To pop the clips that are here on the plastic. And then we got a clip that's here. We got a clip right here about where the S is on that sticker. Then we have one more that's right here. And then we're going to rotate from the bottom to pull these clips out so we don't break them. Just like that. Now that we got the plastics off, here is going to be the bolt that we're going to pull. Okay, we're going to put our number 17 wrench on there. Make sure that you got your oil catcher set underneath it. Now I'm setting my grate in there because most of the time you will drop that bolt, and if you don't have that grate, you gotta go fishing in the oil for it. While that's draining, I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to put some of the new oil around the threads. We just laid the tinfoil over the headers. When we pop that oil filter loose, just going to go right into the tinfoil. It won't touch the headers. It's going to go right into the oil catcher. So I've set up tinfoil just like this. So it's all underneath the oil filter, so we do not get any oil on the headers, which it is fine if you get oil on the headers, you just end up smelling it. What we're going to do is clean around where that filter is going to go. Just want to get this as clean as possible. Now we're going to use our oil filter, which is the KN138. Opening up one of our quarts of oil that we just got. You want it to be fresh oil when you do this. And all I'm doing is just getting a little bit on my finger, and I'm going to rub it around the seal. And you don't have to do this, but I like to put a little bit of oil inside the filter itself. And if you do put oil inside the filter before putting it on, do not fill it up full, because otherwise when you turn like this, it will just spill out. And you just need to get it hand tight is all. You don't need to go real snug. Now I'll go put the oil plug in. So I'm just removing the tin foil. So I always wipe off this whole thing so there's none of the old oil on it. So I just take a rag and just wipe all over. Got this all cleaned up. I'm just going to get a little bit of the fresh oil on my finger. I'm just going to wipe it around the threads. And I've already cleaned this off, so I don't need to do it again. But make sure you clean that before putting the bolt on. Clean off the excess oil off. Okay, now it's time to put oil in. We're going to start by taking the oil cap out. It's recommended to use the 10W40. You don't actually have to have the mobile one, but do make sure that you have the 10W40 and that it is for motorcycles, because it is different than car oil. We're going to be using a funnel, and I always clean out my funnels before I use them, so you don't want any dirt or gunk that's inside of these getting into the oil. Try to keep that as clean as possible. There's one quart. We've already put 3 quarts in. This here is the 4th quart, and since it's only about 3.2 to 3.5 quarts, I just went down to roughly about here, and we're going to turn the bike on and see how it looks. Now we'll start the bike, let it run for a minute, and let the oil cycle. So we started the bike, and it's been off for about 10 minutes now. I'm just going to tilt the bike, and we're just going to watch the looking glass here and see where that oil is. So it looks like we need a little bit more. And since we've already started the bike and got the oil filter full of oil, we do not need to start the bike again when we add more oil. So we've used about 3.4 quarts, and that's put me almost to the full line, which you do not want to be. I don't feel comfortable being on full, and you do not want to be past full. So as long as you're in between the L for low and the F for full, as long as you're in between there, you're good. So since we turned on the bike and let it run for a minute, I'm now checking to make sure that there's no leaks. So the first spot I look is underneath the oil filter that we just put on, and I just rub my finger where the sill connects to the aluminum, and my fingers are dry. It tells me that there is no oil leaking there. And then the same for the oil plug. My finger looks clean. So we know that that there is good, and all we need to do is just put the plastics on, and that's it.